All right, guys, meteorologist Elliot Wilson here. We've got another fitness segment for you guys, and I brought in our own Darby Brown because not only is she our sports director, but she's also into fitness. She's into cycling. She instructs over at Cyclebar, and even before you started working here, I know you were instructing cycling classes. So tell us how you got started with that and just how it plays a role in your fitness journey.
Yeah, it's huge for me. So I actually started cycling when I was in college, and I really fell in love with it. I grew up in a dance studio, so I liked the fact that indoor cycling, you know, it's a lot about matching up with the music, and you kind of get that feeling that I used to being a dancer. So I fell in love with cycling in college, and then when I moved to Midland, Odessa, and I worked at a TV station out there before I came here, there was a cycle bar out there, and just, you know, started just as a rider. I would just go a lot, and then I kind of, you know, thought like, hey, I think I could teach. I mean, my mom teaches fitness, so I always saw her doing it, and then my, you know, job is speaking for, essentially a lot of it is speaking for a living. So I knew I could speak, and I knew I could ride pretty well. So I was like, I think I could do that. So I kind of just told my friends that I had made at the cycle bar, they were like, hey, I really would like to do this. And so they kind of did an audition with me, and it was not good, but it was good enough, you know, for them. And so they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we can work with that kind of. And so then I trained with the lead instructor there for about a month. And then with Cyclebar, you have to be like, you know, you have to pass as the franchise. So it's not just, you know, anybody gets up there. It's definitely a process as far as training and passing. And so I did that in, yeah, about a month. And then it's about 3 years ago, almost this week, I started teaching. So I taught there, and then my journey actually took me back home to Scottsdale for a little bit. I taught a studio there, and then now I'm here in Waco, and again there's a cycle bar. So it's been kind of a big part of my fitness, not only fitness but also kind of life, because it's always there, all these steps that I've been on. So really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I love the, you know, and you can see in your videos that you post on Instagram or your Facebook page, you know, you definitely have that energy. It's definitely a fun environment. And yeah. I can also see how to be nerve-wracking, because it's, you know, sometimes you can't see how many people are in a studio, but those are fairly large classes, you know, and they're all looking at you for like, you know, not just leadership, but just watching and making sure they're doing it right. So. The training process for that, was that pretty nerve-wracking? Yeah,
it was. At first I was like, okay, what do I say? Like, you know, you tell them the gears, because Cyclebar does have it's a format that we follow. So, you know, every song there's a behind it. So it's, you know, you set them up like what they're supposed to be doing. But then beyond that, it's, you know, it's your personality, it's however you want to be a motivator. And so at first I was like, I don't know what I say. I just would say nothing, or I would just, you know, whatever. And so you have to get used to kind of just letting it like come natural, and letting it, you know, whatever you're feeling like would help you in those moments, you say to them, and things like that. So it kind of comes after time. But yeah, the training process was definitely, I mean, I will say, like I said, I grew up dancing, so a lot of it was like I can read music really well, and that's key with indoor cycling, because you kind of, everything is supposed to be with the music, so that kind of came natural. And then in general, I you know, could remember things and stuff like that. But definitely there was an element of, okay, how do I take it to that next step where it becomes like I really feel like I can lead this group of people. So yeah, it was sort of nerve-wracking, but you just kind of, it was definitely, I actually talked about this in my class last week, how I was like, you know, I did it 3 years ago, and it scared me, like for sure scared me. I was afraid of what people were going to think, or, you know, how they would respond to my coaching. And then I kind of just had to like get past that and be like, you know what, I'm doing this for a reason. These people believe in me, and here we go. And so you kind of grow with it. But yeah, linking back to it, I was definitely very nervous when I first started.
Yeah, that's why I could never lead a class like that, because I don't know how it is for you on air, but like for me, I'd rather speak to a camera.
Yeah, for sure.
With like nobody else around. But if like there's people watching me, I can't do it. So
yeah, and you're up on a podium, like there's spotlights that we have at Cyclebar. It's very, you know, cool lighting, but a lot of times it's a spotlight on you, and then the rest of the room is dark. So it's very much like a performance type situation. And yeah, it is definitely very different when you're in here. It's a camera versus when you're, you know, a whole room of people staring at you. It's definitely
basically public speaking,
yeah,
and you're moving around
yeah.
too. And you mentioned that your mom does this as well. So did she kind of inspire you?
Oh, for sure. So my mom's actually an Orange Theory coach. So if you're familiar with that franchise, but she's been coaching Orange Theory since I was in high school, so a long time now. And so I always saw her. But before that, she would teach cycling and body pump and all these other things. She's always been a fitness instructor. So I would always see her doing that growing up, and that definitely got me into working out in general. I was a dancer and I played other sports like basketball and stuff, but I didn't really enjoy working out, I would say, until probably I started working after college even, where I was like, oh, this is my time to, you know, be with myself and like work on myself and not worry about work, not worry about other things. But I always saw her, she was always inspiring me to work out. And so yeah, for sure, she's been a big part of me becoming a fitness instructor. And then my sister actually teaches too, so it's definitely in the family.
Wow.
Yeah, my sister teaches spin at a studio in San Diego, California, where she lives. So all of us are in fitness, and for her it's the same as me. It's her side thing, but yeah. She really enjoys it.
That's incredible. Now, have you guys ever taught a class together by chance, or?
No, I wish. We definitely, when we ride together, we'll like, you know, take videos together and be like doing the same thing. And I've taken her class, she's taken my class. So,
oh, nice.
We've had that, but her franchise is like different. It's a little bit of a different style. So if she taught at another Cyclebar, we easily could pair up, but it's a little different with the different studios. But yeah, someday we joke about, you know, way down the line we own a studio together or something like that. It would be really fun. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be really cool. And of course, I did want to ask you about, because you know you said initially you weren't big on working out. How did cycling kind of help you change that mentality, and what changes, like, you know, I don't know, physically, mentally, did you see in yourself when you started doing cycling?
Yeah, I think I always was like, I always knew exercise made me feel better because I did grow up playing sports and I did dance, and I would, you know, come home from dance like so tired, so sweaty, but feeling so like good. And so I always knew exercise made me feel better, but I really couldn't, after I moved away from sports, I never really found anything where I was like, oh, I really love this. Like I would go to, you know, Orange Theory, or I would go to workouts and I would do them, but like cycling classes, I loved it. And I would really realize that I was really motivated and would get really tired, but really like my cardio would get really, you know, my heart rate would go crazy. I wouldn't even realize it. So it's like, so that aspect of it, I really just started to enjoy it. And then I wanted to go more. And then obviously when I started teaching, and when I started teaching in West Texas, I started teaching like 5 days a week. It was a lot. It was probably too much.
That's a lot,
yeah. So it was a lot. But definitely, your cardio improves so quickly, and leg strength for sure for me is definitely, because you know you add on a lot of Cyclebar is very much about adding resistance, and so it's a lot of gear and speed intervals, so you get kind of like the HIIT workout feeling, and then it's also just your legs. I mean, like if you're on a heavy hill, your legs are going to feel like jello after class. And so obviously the more you keep going, the stronger you get as well. But yeah, I would say just in general, I just really found something I really loved with working out, and it got me that, you know, that feeling. And now I do, you know, really, I do go to Orange Theory, I enjoy that. I'm dabbling in lifting a few times a week, and so I do like doing other things as well now. But I think cycling kind of opened the door for me to realize that it's actually can be something you really enjoyed. It's not a chore, and you know, so yeah, it was a big game changer for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, something else I've always liked about cycling is that it's better than running.
Yeah.
You know, it's even better for you because you're using more muscles. You're not, you know, taking a big hit on your joints.
Low impact for sure. Yeah.
And it, you know, it just is, and the fact you're working with muscles in that situation, it's just, you're actually going to end up burning more fat.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah, well, I think the low impact thing is really key, and that's probably another part of my journey too. I have a hip, I tore my labrum in my right hip when I was way back when I was in high school, and it still flares up. So running, I can run, but long distance, which you know, that's the key to running is long distance a lot of the time. It really messes my body up. So I think spinning was, for me, that was way better on my body and way better on my, like, for my my hip and my back and stuff. And so I think that yeah, it definitely is a great way to get, you know, the same results that you would from being a runner, or more or different, you know, and it is easier on your body, and you can do it probably more often and maybe for longer. I mean, there are those that are amazing runners, and I commend them, but it definitely could take a toll on your body.
Yeah.
So spinning is a lot. It's just a different way to kind of get similar results, and yeah, especially if a lot of people have injuries. So you know, anybody can do it.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about it is no matter if you're inside in a studio or if you're outside, it's great.
Yeah.
Because you can just enjoy yourself, and who doesn't like riding a bike? You know, we did that as kids. Like not every kid went around just like doing like jogging, but every kid rode their bike. You know, especially our generation.
Right. That's actually something I talk about in my classes sometimes. Like I'm like, just picture yourself. Like I used to just ride my bike home from school. Like just riding your bike home from school, and it felt like you're on top of the world and you're just coasting. And like that's like, you know, maybe a moment that's a little bit less intense of a class is like you just ride and block everything out. I think that's what really is great about, and probably I'm not an outdoor cyclist, but indoor cycling for sure I can speak to that. It definitely can provide, you can disconnect with your mind. If you're just focusing on music, breathing, what you're doing, you can sort of disconnect from like everything else, because you don't have to worry about too much. Like the bike is just moving and you're not going anywhere, and you know, so it definitely can become that. And I always try to speak to my riders about that too. Like, don't let this just be a physical workout. Like, let this be mental as well. Like you're in it, so stay in it for 45 minutes and see how much, you know, better you feel when you leave. So
yeah, it's huge. And you know, I've always been a big advocate for cycling, and another thing I really like about it is, one, you don't have to like stabilize yourself that much. You know, you're staying in one spot, and also you're only contracting muscles. You're not like doing negatives, so you don't have to worry about hurting yourself. Like if the resistance gets too high, if you start like getting exhausted, you can just stop. You don't have to worry about having like a bar on you, or if you're on a leg press, you have to, you know, let it down slowly or else you get hurt. That's why I'm a big advocate on cycling for, you know, HIIT training. That's what I do 2 days a week, and it's brutal. It sucks, but you know, especially doing wind gates and whatnot, those are fun. But it hits you hard, and it's a great way to just keep your lower body strong. And then of course now I want to dive into, so the classes you teach, are they, I assume, you know, you mentioned some HIIT, you mentioned some classes are like 45, are all your classes 45 minutes long? How are they similar, or how are they constructed?
So we have a few different formats at Cyclebar. The ones I teach is just right now, at least our classic format. So it's 45 minutes, 12 song sequence. So it's more or less always almost the same, but the way we pattern the workout and we plan the workout is like, you know, every song is, there's jogs, so you go a certain amount of speed out of the saddle with a certain amount of resistance, and you give, you know, gauges for wherever you're at. So there's a jog out of the saddle, there's in the saddle, there's sprints, there's out of the saddle climbs, there's in the saddle climbs. So it's all about your speed you're riding at and the gear you're riding at. And we kind of just pattern like one song to the next, and it's a little bit different. But and then in every song we try to add like 3 to 4 intervals. So that's where you are, you know, if you start at a certain speed and a certain gear, maybe 3 times you would say, okay, everybody add gear, and then you would hold your speed, or then you take the gear off. So that's where the HIIT comes in, because you are always doing intervals. But yeah, it's more or less the same, but obviously the playlists are always different, and then we have a lot of freedom to, you know, create the workout based on those parameters. And so
that's good.
And so that's what's great about Cyclebar too, is like, you know, if you go to any cycle bar in the country, you're going to get that sort of experience, so you kind of know what you're going to get. And it's definitely very safe. Like, I think there are some cyclists that try to take you out of the saddle really fast and really like a really high RPM and low resistance, and we don't do that. It's definitely all about safety, because it's, you know, what's the point if you're getting people injured because they're, you know, popping a rib out of place because they're going too fast out of the saddle. Like, it's very much all about like the workout and getting a good workout. So that's adding resistance, and that's, you know, maybe slowing down a little bit. And then we do have another format called our Empower format, and that one actually is in the saddle the whole time. So that one's great for people that all but maybe 1 or 2 songs. So that's great for people that really have maybe injuries with their back or things like that, because obviously when you come out of the saddle, it kind of engages your body differently. So maybe if you do have like back issues or whatever, it could kind of throw you off. But the Empower format like keeps you in the saddle the whole time. And then a performance ride, which I've taught too. That, as you can tell in the name, it takes it up a little bit to where you're doing.
Yeah.
We have some technology where we can do races, so we do a lot of races in the performance ride, and that's really fun. Because if you're competitive, then you're doing everything you can to get to the top, and it'll show your name up there on the board and stuff. So
that's fun.
That's pretty fun, yeah. And I like to incorporate those even in the classic ride, but in the performance ride, it's a little bit more about that. Which people that, like I said, competitive people, they thrive in the performance rides. But yeah.
Oh, that's cool. There's just so many great benefits to cycling. I think everybody can benefit from it, no matter what walk of life you come from. And it'll make you stronger in your lower body. Your cardio will feel great. It's going to be easier on your joints, and of course, you'll be able to have fun while doing it. And of course, your classes are a lot of fun, like we've mentioned. So, for those that do want to go to Cyclebar or do want to take one of your classes, when do you teach?
I teach Wednesday and Thursday mornings, so just a couple times a week, but we do offer classes every 7 days a week in mornings and evenings and a lot of different times as well.
Yeah, and it's I recommend going to see her at Cyclebar because the energy is there. You'll see that in the videos, and it's just it's just a lot of fun. You can't miss out on this, especially when we're about to go into the holidays, eating junk food and Christmas. You gotta be ready to go and be able to burn all that off and do what you can. So
and stay sane. That's probably a part of it too.
Yes, keep your mental sanity during all of it. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you guys next time.